What's going on, you guys? My name is CodyT503, and this is Interesting Podcast. We are coming to you guys live on June 23rd, 2026 for episode 126, where tonight we actually have a very special guest. And now it is an absolute privilege to introduce to you guys Zach Zamora.
What's good, Cody? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Trying to survive the heat, but I'm doing all right. Can't complain one
That's
bit.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you before we actually start. I know we've been planning this for a couple months now, so thank you very much.
Well, man, no, thank you for having me. This is actually like my first podcast ever, so thank you, man.
Oh, okay. Sweet. All right. Well, let's just start out for everybody who maybe doesn't know you. Maybe you can introduce your name, where you're from, and how long you've been a professional wrestling fan.
Oh, wrestling fan. All right, so hi, everyone. My name is Zach Zamora. I was originally born in Tacoma, but I was a military kid, so like I moved around everywhere. So like I lived in Japan, lived in Alabama, like you name it. But I'm back here now, and I've been a wrestling fan since I would say like 2004. Like that's when I started to watch wrestling. So
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know around that time is when Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio were starting to get into their tag team run and everything. So do you remember when Eddie Guerrero passed away and what you were doing?
Oh yeah, I was crying like a baby, dude. like Eddie meant so much to me growing up, man. Like it was like I remember when he passed, man, it was just so sudden because like I remember his last match. It was with I think it was Mr. Kennedy at the time. Then like the next week, he's gone and we're just like, what the hell, So yeah, I remember Eddie very clearly back in the day, for sure.
That's really awesome. So, like, what were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
So for me personally, I remember back in the day, like the WWE would like release DVDs of like superstars that were that came before I was born, right? So they had the Legion of Doom DVD about like their tag team history and stuff like that. So I was super big into the Legion of Doom growing up. Big Shawn Michaels fan too around that time period. Big fan of Edge too around that time period.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know when I've talked with other wrestlers, I've brought up that when you're trying to start to create a character, you take certain aspects of your personality and you kind of mold them with maybe some of your favorite wrestlers. So, like, one, what are some wrestlers that motivated you in your development of character, and what are the aspects of your personality that you bring to the forefront?
Like when it comes to like wrestlers in general, I just gravitate to whoever I feel like, hey, that's me. I don't try like what you see is what you get. I'm just who I am, right? Because I don't try to take an aspect of someone that I like and be like, oh, I can totally do that. No, it speaks to me on an emotional level. And the biggest thing for me is whether if it's like a wrestler, someone in my, my friend group or, in the movie, all the people that resonated with me have been unapologetic about being themselves. They're themselves 24/7. What you see is what you get, So I just try to do that in my own way because there's only one Zach Zamora, So it's bound to be different. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. I don't care. Like I could like for people being themselves for who they are, and it's just like that's great how they're able to express it their way. I'm more interested in about being myself in my own way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of cut out a little bit there. Can you repeat that ending part?
Oh yeah, so yeah, I could always appreciate anyone who's themselves and express it in their own way. But I'm more, interested in about how I can express myself that's truly authentic to me. Because you're only one person in the world, you know. There's only
Yeah.
one Cody, only one Cody T. There's only one Zach Z. You know what I mean? So why not be different? You know, don't be a 2.0 of someone else. Because if someone wants to listen to John Mayer 2.0, they can just listen to John Mayer. You know what I mean? Just be you. That's what I say.
Yeah. That is so, yeah, that's awesome. Well, kind of walk us through the day that you decided that you wanted to go and sign up for a pro wrestling school.
It was just by chance, I guess you can say. So, like earlier this year, I was, coming back from, being laid off and all this stuff, and I was getting some momentum, getting, myself back on my feet, and I bought a guitar that was like the best guitar I've ever played, right? And
Mhm.
it's such like after such a long time of being unemployed and being able to finally get something that I've been really wanting for a good while, it was great, right? The week I got that guitar, right? My landlord upped my rent out of nowhere. So like I was kind of struggling. I was like, I need something to kind of help pay my rent because if I sold the guitar, it wouldn't cover the rent increase, yada yada yada. So I was kind of scrambling and found a flyer saying if I survived against a pro wrestler, let's just say this, it'll be enough to pay my rent. Okay. So went in there, dumb as a bag of rocks, not knowing a lot. Okay. And I did it. I survived. Sure enough. So
Yeah.
as soon as I got, that first match, it was just something that music couldn't really like fulfill within me. There was something about professional wrestling that was it was the most surreal feeling that I've never experienced before. And you can never experience it until you actually try it yourself. So I had to look for a wrestling school and stumbled across Nathan Fox, and he showed me the Dragonplex Dojo. So that's how history's been made at this point in time. So
Yeah. That's really awesome. Well, the only school that I've seen is Oregon Pro Wrestling School, and they're set up with like 2 rings and a bunch of mats. How was Dragonplex Dojo kind of set up?
oh, so like when I first started, like the first like week or so, it was super small at the place that we were at that point in time, but like a week within I got there, right? They moved into a new building. So the Dragonplex Dojo now has like 2 rings, for people to, get their practice in. Very super spacious place. We have weights over there now. There's a TV to watch, matches and, learn from, the greats because the greats always leave success. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's about like 3 to 4 times as big than what it was back in the day, for sure.
Very interesting. Well, I know you had just brought up about kind of watching the greats, but like, did you find that it was very beneficial to start to learn wrestling when you're actually watching the other students?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Because, like I said, everyone is their own person. Everyone has a way of doing a specific thing. Like, we all write our names, right? But we all know the same letters, but the way it looks is always going to be different, right? So it's always interesting to see
Mhm.
how someone would be like throwing a punch at someone and it landing. I was like, ooh, I like the look of that. I want to add that, but do it my own way. Or, oh man, I never thought about
Yeah.
that idea for this match. If I need to have that, it's in my back pocket in case someone's trying to take my head off. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
always good to be around people who are always trying to get better because just by osmosis, your standards also raise as well. So I think it's super important to just be present, be a sponge, and learn from whoever you can. You know what I mean? Obviously, people have
Yeah.
their own ways of doing things. What may work for them may not work for you. So you kind of have to experiment, trial and error, and just parse out what's useful for you. So I think it's a super beneficial part to anyone, whether if it's in the gym or if you're boxing, I think it's applicable to anywhere.
Yeah, that is so cool. So, like, how long was it your journey that you started this confidence in yourself?
Brother, I'm still in my rookie year. What you talking about, man? I honestly, I'm getting that's I'm greener than grass right now, man. But like it's getting a lot more, like it's getting a lot more easier as time goes on because it's a different feeling. I used to be big into music, like doing open mics and stuff like that. So I'm used to being around in a crowd. Um, I've been in, I've done boxing, I've done jujitsu. So I've been in situations where there's high stress and there's people watching you. You know what I mean? Because there's something about
Mhm.
pro wrestling that it's like the top of my list of the best things to experience in your life. So I've got
Mhm.
like the more reps you do, the better you get in terms of like getting confident. And I think there's no other way around it. You just have to put in the work. Simple as that.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you had posted on your social media your first ever entrance. And before we start to dive into that, I want to know what was going through your mind when you were standing behind the curtain before you made your entrance.
It's funny you asked that. My first thought was, what the hell am I doing here, dude? Like, like it was so surreal. Like I watched this stuff growing up. I used to jump off my dresser and land on my bed back in the day. Um, but yeah, I was like, I was like I was in second grade, right? I was 100 pounds in second grade, 110 pounds. I was a big kid. And like, I was just jumping off my dresser, breaking my bed, dude. Like that was me growing up. Um, it's true. But yeah, I was just like, what the hell am I doing here? But I really need to make rent too. Like that was like my thought process. So I was like, well, I'm already here. So I got to do what I got to do to, pay my bills. So that's exactly what I did. And stepping through that curtain and just taking in that moment. Because when you step through that curtain, you can't recreate your first time you step foot in front of a crowd before, right? For a wrestling match. So it's
Yeah.
a one-time thing. You're greener than grass. Absorb the moment and just looking from people from like here to like here felt like an eternity, right? But on camera, it was like a second or two, But it was a moment
Yeah.
to just be present with everyone there, and yeah, it was one of the most euphoric things I've ever felt in my life, and that's saying a lot. So
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I was sitting there and I was watching that video, and as soon as your music hit and you came out of the curtain, like you actually got like a pop, like instantaneously. Like, how did that feel? Where like people just immediately gravitated to you?
uh, surreal. Like I've never experienced anything like that before. But I will say a lot of that would have to go to my opponent, Joe Macho. Big ups to him for issuing an open challenge and giving me a shot at that. So um, he was, very, very popular with the crowd. He got them all hyped up for this match. It was a solid match between us. No hard feelings. So yeah, very grateful for the opportunity to do so with someone like Joe Macho. So
Yeah. Was there anything that you learned from doing that match that like kind of clicked for you when you were in there with him?
anything that clicked for me, like yeah, I have to do this for the rest of my life. That's the thing that's the thing that clicked. 1,000%. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, I'm getting
Yeah.
like, my, tail handed to me by someone who's like 200, like 80 pounds, 270, something along those lines. And I'm just like lying there and just saying to myself, I'm in pain, but this is freaking awesome, dude. So that was the thing that clicked for me. And I had to get better. So
Yeah,
by chance, I met Nathan Fox, and you know, it's been off to the races since then.
yeah, that's really cool. So I know I've like talked with other wrestlers, and we kind of have talked about how there's going to be ebbs and flows throughout your wrestling career. Like how are you going to keep yourself kind of in check when you do maybe have a low moment or a high moment?
I mean, I've already experienced a couple since starting. So the best way I can really describe it is ebb and flows. It's essentially nature, right? Waves, they go up and down, right? It's never summer,
Yeah.
24/7. There's always seasons, right? It's just cyclical part of life. And it's just, I think that's just life itself. You know what I mean? Uh, but it makes
Hmm.
all the highs that you get to experience so much more sweeter, um, if you're able to persist in it. So it's just nature. That's the way I look at it. It's like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but it's only temporary. So, like, I just have to have faith in that, and it just works out. What if it's in wrestling or music or whatever? That's the best way I can describe it.
That's really cool. So I know like people will say that professional wrestling is an art form. So how would you kind of describe that in your own words about what you think makes professional wrestling an art?
Every night's different, right? Um, like the thing about pro wrestling about being an art is like you could have, you know, man, that's a really good question. Like, kind of stumped me on this one. It's like
No,
it's what's an art form. What makes it an art form to me is that like I think it's one of the most timeless forms of entertainment. You know what I mean? Uh, like you could watch this stuff from like 100 years ago to like 100 years from now. It still resonates with people on like their lizard brain in a way. People love seeing conflict. People like seeing, people go at each other. You know what I mean? Whenever there's like, a fight in the cafeteria back in high school, what does everyone do? They look at that. It's one of the best things ever, So it just scratches
yeah.
that lizard part of the brain. Um, and it like there's music for everyone that comes out. You get a good match. At times, there's live bands playing, opening up for people. Like if you're in the WWE, if you remember those back in the day, um, it's like you get a concert, you get a match. You know, what more can you ask for? There's drama. Like it's the most perfect form of art. If someone can say, "Hey, what's art?" It'll be pro wrestling. Simple as that. No questions asked.
That's really awesome. I know earlier you brought up that you also like to play the guitar. Are you a really big or artistic person outside of pro wrestling? And what are some of your hobbies that are artistic?
That are artistic. I mean, I've been playing guitar for
Mhm.
years, man. Like I feel like I've explored the guitar enough to where like I kind of like scratched that itch of like, all right, I've learned all that I wanted to, and it's just kind of like meh for me at the moment. Um, like, yeah, I do artistic things, but I felt like I've never really been artistic. Like I've never been. I don't know. That's hard to explain. Like I felt like I was always too artsy to be a jock, but too jockey to be an artist. Like I've always been in that weird middle ground. So it's like artistic purgatory in a way. You know what I mean? But I do like playing guitar. I
Yeah.
do. I enjoy listening to music more than I do making it at this point in time because like I've done so many open mics. I've had a couple shows under my belt doing that stuff, and it just doesn't like excite me as much. It doesn't scratch that itch in my brain. Um, I love dancing, dude. Like honestly, it's like one of the most purest forms of like human connection that you see unfolding in real time to like awesome music. So whether if it's
Mhm.
like the salsa or swing dancing, I love watching that stuff. It's very captivating to me, because it's so honest. When there's people watching, a lead and a follow, do their thing, whether if it's a routine or if it's like an improvised dance. Like, it's so emotionally raw, and you feel that watching that.
Yeah.
So I would say those two are like the biggest things for me. I mean, boxing, if you want to add that, but that could be debatable. So I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah. That is awesome. Well, I was watching a video on Facebook, and it was this guy giving a seminar. I forget what his name was, but he was bringing up to all of the students that whenever you step out into the ring, you should treat every match as if it's the first time the crowd ever sees you. So how do you feel about that sentiment?
1,000%. You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
You never know who's watching. It could be, someone who's, part of the big, companies now, WWE, AEW. Someone could be scouting for all that I know. And
Yeah.
when it comes to getting, booked for shows and stuff like that, you always want to put your best foot forward. You always want to make a good first impression, right? Because you can't take those back.
Mhm.
Like, if you're having an off day, like, if you had a bad day at work, then all of a sudden you bring that into like, a wrestling match, it's going to show, and what if like a big superstar was watching that has an in for that talent to go into like a, big promotion like that. So I 1,000% agree with that statement.
Yeah. Do you think you would feel really, really nervous to perform if, like, let's say a Randy Orton just came to a random indie wrestling show and was watching you? Would you feel like pressure from that?
Hell yeah, I would. But I got to be able to make the butterflies. Listen, I just got to, like, it is totally normal to have butterflies in your stomach. Okay. But my goal as a professional wrestler is like, you take those butterflies, you just got to make sure they fly in the same direction. That's all you got to do. You're always going to feel it. Right. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. Right. But it's never going to go away. So, but yeah, I would totally feel the pressure for sure. Because if I notice it, because if I notice Randy Orton in the crowd, right, all the wrestlers, are going to notice Randy too. So I got to make sure I'm on my A game. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's talk about your debut at Peak Sports Entertainment. How was that opportunity given to you?
Super last minute. Like, it was just like, hey, you and Pat, you guys are gonna, face, like, you guys are gonna do your thing. You know what I mean? Like, have an open challenge. Whoever comes through, I mean, that's who you're gonna get. That's exactly what happened. Super last minute. I was like, all right, beats me. So
yeah,
it was an opportunity. I took it, and we went off to the races. So it was literally like,
yeah,
like not even 24 hours notice, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know you made your entrance with Patrick Miller. Do you feel like you guys had chemistry in the ring?
Oh, that little twerp. Oh, I love that kid. Man, he's a young buck. He's been really putting in a lot of work. Showing up day in and day out, really, cutting his teeth, with training and getting better with all the matches that we've had. And surprisingly, it worked, like, albeit, he's, green, just like me, right? We just have this dynamic, like, he's like the little brother I never had because I was always the youngest, right? So I get to boss him around a little bit, but I mean, he does throw, some jabs back at me. So he's good. He's getting so much better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you remember how the match ended that night?
Yeah, Zachariah and Gordon Shanley. So Gordon had Zachariah on his shoulders like this, right? And Zachariah just splashed right on me. Like just took me out, pinned me. 1, 2, 3. I'm looking up at the ceiling, like, why am I doing this with my life? But this is an awesome feeling. That's what it is, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really good match. You know, spiritual awakening. I mean, they've been vets, and it certainly showed that night. And I gotta, tip my hats off to them. We're a bunch of loudmouths, issuing an open challenge, and we kind of, you know, got what we deserve, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That is cool.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I was looking at that video, I noticed the production in that arena. And like it has a pretty decent production, even the lights that were above the ring. Like, how was it stepping into that environment and having such a big production?
It was really cool, man. Like it's just it does have really notice like great production value. But the thing I love about it is that it still retains that intimacy with how close the audience is around the ring too. Um, and it's just so much more. There's a vibe that's established like every night with the production alone, and I love it. It really makes it feel big. Every match feels important and integral, and like the crowd is just as involved with that too. Because the peak sports fans, man, they're a different breed, to say the least, and I mean that in the most endearing way possible. They're awesome.
Yeah. That is really cool. Well, I know earlier you had brought up that you had lived in Japan before. Would you ever want to go back and wrestle?
Hell yeah, of course I would, man. I miss Japan.
Yeah.
Because I was there from like 2003 through like the end of like 2005, and like that was like one of the most like happiest moments of like my childhood, because I don't remember much of before then, because that was like I was super young. I was in Spanaway at the time. Don't remember much, before Japan, but like Japan was like when I was able to remember a lot of things. So I mean, the food was amazing. I was in Tokyo too, so city was super clean. The 7-Elevens, bro. The 7-Elevens in Japan are amazing. You can get like a legit like filling breakfast that's actually fairly healthy, and like it tastes super good. Like I miss it completely. And like what's weird too is that like they have vending machines for everything. Like they had sodas, snacks, like the normal stuff we see here in America, but they would also have like cigarettes and like underwear, like at an amusement park that I saw. I was like, why the hell is there underwear in a vending machine? I'm like, whatever. But yeah, I would love to go back and just like wrestle there, because like little 4 foot something Zach would be losing his mind seeing who I am now, and also wrestling in Japan, because that's where I first discovered wrestling. So yeah.
Yeah. That is really cool. Well, I know that when you are into professional wrestling, there's a lot of notable arenas like 2300 Arena, Madison Square Garden, Tokyo Dome. What would be your arena that you just dream of actually being able to perform in?
The ECW arena, hands down, dude. Dude, hands down, the ECW arena for sure.
Yeah.
There's just so much history there. The fans are rabid. They're honest. They don't care what you think, and they'll tell you exactly how they feel. And I love that honesty. You can't knock honesty at all. I would say ECW for sure, ECW arena. And for me personally, I would also like to wrestle at like Hurricane Hall in Japan. That would be dope.
Interesting. You say Horican
Yeah,
Hall?
Horican Hall. It starts with a K.
Oh, Horican.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, dude, I have room temperature IQ. Like, I don't know how to pronounce it, but like, like, like that arena in Japan would be dope to perform in.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, I saw that you posted on your socials that you were going to do a wrestling school student showcase. So how was that experience kind of being able to represent the school?
The one that I did like earlier in April, or the one that's coming up in July.
I'm not sure if I saw specifically whether it was in the past or future.
Okay, so the one in April that I did, I was super pumped to do that show. You know, that was like my second match in front of a crowd, and just I wanted to put on the best show that I could, and I felt like I did. You know,
Yeah.
given where I'm at in terms of like ring IQ and just overall experience, you know, I did what I could. There's a lot of pressure because I was the last match in that card. I was like, oh, I gotta be on my A game and, you know, make sure, you know, I don't get my face caved in. But yeah, that was quite the match.
Yeah. So how does it feel when a company is able to, or like they want to give you either the first match or the last match? Because I know the first match kind of sets everybody up for how the evening's going to go. And then the final match is kind of like the match that will make everybody want to come back.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm very indifferent to it. To me, it's just like my goal is to have a match, do my thing, right, and make sure that, you know, the crowd gets their money's worth. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? And sometimes the vibe really, you know, the vibe of, you know, that day, you know, really has somewhat of an impact. You know, you just have to feel it out. You know, so I like to listen to my intuition and do what I can with my current abilities. You know what I mean? The first match is always, I love the first match because it's like, get to go out there, start off hot, both you and your opponent just, you know, just go into it. But you know, when you're the last match, right? You see all the people coming back. You're like, oh man, look at that guy. You got kind of, you know, and I'm up next. It's like you're kind of like, you know, up next in the chopping block, so to speak. But it's an amazing feeling. It's a very human feeling, I guess you can say.
That is really cool. Well, I got about 3 more questions for you. And I want to ask you, what is like what do you want to accomplish in your pro wrestling career?
And you're really hitting me with the heavy hitters now, huh? You're really saving it for the last portion of this podcast. Oh man, what I want. So I like to break up my goals into like tangible goals that I can work on immediately, right? Because I feel like once you reach those tangible goals, your goals beyond that kind of change a little bit. So I don't want to be like, hey, my goal is this. Then I do a little bit of like what I have like within my reach, so to speak, and that goal changes. So I like to focus with what's in front of me right now. And for me, I want every wrestler in the independents and even in the, you know, the higher ups, you know, the WWEs, the AEWs, I want every wrestler wanting to have a match with me. That's my goal. And every match that I have is going to be memorable, entertaining, you know, whatever. I want you to feel something. And that's my goal. I want to have matches with anyone and everyone at this point. That's my main goal. And what happens from that point on, when I, you know, start to travel, you know, outside of, you know, the Pacific Northwest, I go to like the Midwest, you know, work in independence there or in, you know, New York City, you know, the goals are going to change the more that I do this, right? But as of now, that's my main focus.
That is really cool. So do you think that when you win your first ever championship that it's going to be hard for you to not get emotional?
Man, I know I'm in Washington, but why am I in a field trip to Philadelphia? You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Um, man. I mean, I might, I don't know. I don't like to think about it because I just want to do my thing, and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it, whether if it's a championship, um, at one promotion or another promotion, it's great to be a champion, right? But getting to the top is easy. Staying there is another thing, right? So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it'll be great to be like, yes, I'm the champion, right? Um, but it's not a mission accomplished yet because there's still things you have to prove as a champion, So I keep that in mind. So that's the way I look at it.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I know Linda T in the chat asks, is he ever going to come to wrestle in Oregon?
Hey, that's one of my goals right now. Shout out to Wendy in the chat. Shout out to Wendy in the chat. That's one of my main goals right now. Portland, Eugene. That will be great. But I'm just going to keep doing my thing with the opportunities that have been given to me. And ideally, this year, I could work, a Portland show or a show in Eugene, DOA, PAL. I have my eyes set for sure. But, one match at a time. One match at a time. I got to
Yeah.
make sure that, like, I'm not going in fifth and sixth gear and remembering that, like, oh, I'm actually supposed to go 45 in this, speed limit. So, yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, well, just as my final question for you, I want to ask, what does professional wrestling mean to you?
Oh my God. Oh man. What does it mean to me? Wow, that's a very loaded question, man.
Yeah.
I want to try to answer this the best that I can, so bear with me.
No,
What professional
you're
wrestling
good.
means to me, it's I have a it's given me what it means to me, it's given me my purpose in life again. You know?
Yeah.
Um, I thought I was going to be a musician, performing, going on tours and releasing music and all that stuff. Next moment, everything, didn't work out, you know, and next thing you know, I've tried different things, a little bit of boxing, kind of dabbled with, a little bit of dancing here and there. But it never really gave me like a sense of fulfillment. Like I didn't feel satiated with what I was accomplishing during those things, doing those things in my life. But with
Yeah.
professional wrestling, it's given me like this pure sense of purpose in my life again because I can't imagine my life without it. Um,
Yeah.
with music, doing that for ever since like 2006. Like I've been playing guitar,
Mhm.
and for it to not give me, that sense of fulfillment was kind of like, man, I did all this, things, musically, and it felt like a waste of time. But I've only been, doing, wrestling matches, since, the beginning of this year, early this year. And it's given me so much more already. So
Yeah.
I think that's a sign for me that I'm on the right path as a human being. So I'm just going to follow that compass.
Yeah.
And I think this is what I was meant to do because I believe when we're kids, we're the most authentic versions of ourselves. We don't care what our parents think. We're just like, oh, I want that candy bar. Let's get it. Like that's how we work as kids. Um, then as an adult, like when you're in like high school, they tell you like, oh, you have to pay taxes now, or you got to work a job and all this stuff, and oh, you need to be realistic about your goals. Um, and you start to do that. You learn how to be an employee. You learn how to be what everyone else wants you to be. right?
Yeah.
Then once you're, you do a little bit of that, like a couple years doing that, you realize, oh man, why am I doing something that doesn't make me happy? I should do the things that make me happy. And it's like 9 times out of 10, things you enjoyed to do as a kid. I used to love watching wrestling as a kid. WrestleMania 21, I watched that live in Japan, like time zone difference and everything. I watched that live. Dude, like I remember that stuff, And
yeah.
It was so amazing to watch that as a kid. Then now doing I don't want to say like I'm main event WrestleMania material. I'm not saying that, right? I know where I'm at. I'm green, right? I just started to do shows this year. Right? I'm very much aware of that. But just doing professional wrestling in itself in a venue like, the VFW where Peak Sports Entertainment's, always at, right? Where the production value is like very, very well done. Working at 5cc where the crowd's super intimate and very honest about everything. It's just like, I feel like I made it, it's so fulfilling to me as a human being to be able to do this stuff. So yeah, it's given me my sense of purpose in life. So extremely blessed about that.
That is really, really cool. Well, before we actually close everything out, if you want to plug where everybody can find you, let them know.
Oh, so you can find me mainly on TikTok and Instagram at I'm Zach Zamora. Those are the 2 socials that I use mainly. And I do have a show coming up for free, July 19th at the Dragonflex Dojo. I want to be a part of their student showcase. So it starts at 2 p.m. So I'll see you guys there. It's free, so you should come on through.
That's awesome, man. Well, I just want to thank you for actually allowing me to sit down with you and just go throughout all of these questions and really get to know who Zach Zamora is.
Man, I appreciate this opportunity. You've been an awesome host. So thank you for being my first podcast ever, dude. Like I didn't expect to like you reached out to me like as soon as I made my debut. I was just like, what's going on here? So thank you. Thank you so much, man.
All right, bro. Well, I hope you have a very, very good night, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, you too, man. Stay cool.
All right. Bam. Come on. Come on. There we go. Ding, thing. Well, all right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Zach Zamora. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Guys, get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I hope you all have a very, very good night. I'll catch you guys later.